Huh? What the? I'm in a hovel? Are you serious? Why would you put me here? This place is disgusting. Ew. Tribals? Mother of God. Huh. Send the chinchilla horde. Well, guess I should have followed my own guide. Medieval times, a time before turrets, clean hospitals with glitter world medicine, and of course, most importantly, indoor plumbing. This video will be talking about how to survive these ancient times and even include some mods to expand upon or ease the difficulty, or make it harder if you are one of those kind of people. Of course, feel free to post your own suggestions as there are plenty of ways to play and plenty of mods to download. Remember to like and subscribe to get more of this quality content. And of course, we have to talk about today's sponsor, which helps us make this masterwork level content. Remember, for every like, a raider donates their kidney to the Pawns Who Need Silver Foundation. First things first, what kind of game are you planning to play? Do you plan to play with only medieval technology, or medieval technology in a world where everyone else isn't bound by your rules? This can definitely change how you play the game. If you wish to use the former option, use these two storytellers who can limit the technology you have access to, research-wise that is. Even take away higher tier factions like pirates. Though for mechanoids, you will need another mod for that. Now, if you want to play a medieval tribe rising up, then follow the advice but ignore the stuff that doesn't involve making guns and power armor. You can still use these two storytellers, but make sure to pick the Freya, who doesn't also limit the technology. First off, I should throw this out there right from the get-go. Vanilla Expanded, Medieval, and Vikings are easily must-have downloads for this type of playthrough, adding a lot more ancient technology, weapons, and armor. Along with Vanilla Expanded crops are also good choices, as you get more variety of things to make. Vanilla Cooking with the stews add-on are also fitting. It's almost like Oscar and his team wanted those mods to fit a vanilla playthrough. Depending on how active you want to be in this playthrough, for a storyteller I suggest Freya because she gives your pawns a debuff for not going out and doing a quest outside of the main map. So if you are told about bandit camps or giant animal hunts, go out, get the rewards, and then celebrate with nice mead. Now, on to actually setting up the game. First, what kind of pawns do you want for your starting colony? Given you now have a lack of cooling, you will need someone who can garden well. You might have to resort to more foraging as you wait for your rice and corn to grow. Combat pawns is a no-brainer for not only defending your settlement but hunting for that tasty meat. I'd also recommend, if you plan to include the Giddy Up mod, someone who is good with animals along with combat. After all, ancients did have access to husbandry. They also tame animals for wool or milk supplies if you want to go that route, but not a requirement. Should also mention animal skills are used for fishing if you have the vanilla fishing mod or any of the other fishing mods on the workshop, so keep that in mind. Researchers could be useful for accessing technology like Devil Strand, more weaponry, or other researches, but not a complete requirement. Given you start with more pawns, it might be easier to get someone to focus only on that. But I do suggest all pawns have the ability to double up on rolls in case something bad happens to one of the pawns. Crafting is going to be completely important. You are going to need a lot of clothing to offset heat issues, as well as make proper arms and armor where you can. Do not start one of these playthroughs without at least a pawn with a passion in crafting. They are going to be doing it a lot for you, so you will want that little bit of extra experience gain. It all adds up, trust me. Get at least 2 medical pawns because you don't want your only doctor going down to the plague or a misplayed shot. Having multiple doctors also lowers the risk of someone bleeding out because the doctor was busy. Good advice for even a basic Rimworld game, but more so here when you have more pawns to start out with. Finally, construction and cooking pawns can be important. Someone who is really good at building to not waste resources and someone who can cook food that won't give you food poisoning is an extremely important thing. Trust me on this. After that, you can do whatever you wish, but good advice all around is avoid pawns with too many scars, especially any with addictions. And if they're too old or clearly have debilitating health conditions, forget about them. Oh, and any Viking who has a beard is definitely a good choice, because as we all know, beards add a plus 20 to defense. And wait, what do you mean? We're not sponsored by Dollar Shave? Next, the location. A little predictable, but a temperate forest is the best choice for survival, due to plenty of wood materials and good seasons. However, if you are feeling like a badass Viking, then the tundra or boreal forest could be a good choice. Plenty of animals in that region do tend to have good pelts to make warm clothing, and Vikings Expanded also includes fur beds that prevent hypothermia, which is good in a pinch. I really don't think the desert, extreme cold biomes, or the jungle is a good idea. With desert is far harder to regulate heat than it is to regulate cold. The extreme biomes won't provide enough supplies for your tribals to remain alive. And the jungle, it may have fun and games, but it also has more of a chance to give your pawns illnesses, which you can't afford to get. If you still want to do a game in those harsh regions, then that's on you. Don't type in the comments that I didn't warn you. So now that you made it to whatever territory you choose, for your new colony that is, what do you do first? My suggestion is to use any natural landmarks you got nearby to create a compound, using natural stone hills to act as a natural barrier. If you got bodies of water, try to include them if you decide to include vanilla expanded fishing or any other fishing mod. You will want some sort of wall between you and wild animals and raiders. If you got the embrasures mod, then use those. Otherwise, go for standard one-way entrances to choke point construction. You may be using short bows right now, but a lot of arrows can still hurt like a lot of bullets. After that, start setting up tree farms for wood, as that will be your heat source for a lot of things, not to mention cheap construction material before you can get stone cutting. Also, rice and corn. If you have vanilla expanded crops, beets are also a good choice. While they can't be planted in the winter, they will grow slowly during that season, so you can continue to have some source of food in a pinch. Fruit trees are also a good investment for the future if you want to substitute corn for tomatoes. In this case, it will also be a good choice as you pick them from the vine and they will grow quickly. When it comes to research, I highly recommend rushing stone cutting, because wooden walls rarely ever work out. It's a good palicide for now, but later on you will lose them to fire. Be it from raiders, lightning, or Johnny Firebug deciding your compound needs some burned out air holes. If you have the quarry mod, you also needed to do some stone cutting, directly from the quarry that is. After that, follow your hearts and dreams. Although I should mention the Rim of Madness bones mod, when you can use the bones of animals and humans you get for butchering, a good material in a pinch, and nothing says stay away like walls literally made from the bones of your enemies. For cooking, if you build your base near some steam geysers, I highly recommend the geyser cooking mod Revive. If you can't harness its steam for power, how about harnessing it for heat and cooking? I don't need to tell you why having the geyser in your buildings is a good thing for winter or colder survival, though good advice, the bigger the room, the harder it is for the geyser to fully heat up the room, and conversely, the smaller the room, the harder it is to cool it down when they say a heat wave in summer picks up, though at least you get an achievement for that. So, what kind of food should you make for your colony? Well, if you ask me, the king. Food for this playthrough is pemmican. It lasts longer in storage, perfect for on-the-road caravanning, and is easy enough to make with meat and veggies. Definitely dull foods, but great for survival. If you have vanilla expanded cooking along with the stew add-on, you can also prepare nice stews to cook. The best thing about them is the stew will actually remove any negatives about the meat, so you can save all the weird meat for the stews, and your pawns will be none the wiser when you put it in. Do be warned, it does take a few days for it to cook, but very helpful when you only have the bad meats on standby. Speaking of helpful, Argon salted meat and sausage mod is an extremely good mod for this playthrough. Letting you, as the name implies, salt and dry your meat and even make sausage salted meat takes a far longer time to spoil, reduces food poisoning chance, and makes it easier to merge all the different meats you might have collected through hunting. Also, don't worry about plants either, because pickled veggies will have you covered. Oh god.
I'm Pickle Rick!
Yeah, so make brine. Wait a bit and you have nice pickled vegetables. Tell me, do you people like pickles? If so, what kind of pickled product pick a peck of pickle produce, and let me know what you like to munch on. I'm going to kill my writer for that tongue twister, you know that, right? If you want to not have to deal with the headaches of this, including these mods into your playthrough definitely is going to make your life easier. Next, what kind of weapons do you want to use? Well, there really isn't any wrong answer, but early on, I at least would suggest short bows, being crafted for anyone not melee oriented, not the highest damage, but multiple arrows all at once can take down most opponents. When it comes to melee, go with what your heart tells you. Be a sword or an axe or a spear. But no matter what you choose, I suggest at least 2 melee-oriented pawns in the best armor you can provide. The reason for 2 is to support each other in combat. Like if one goes down, the other can take their place and keep the line. Trust me, you don't want a broken line. Although when it comes to melee weapons, I do love the Viking crypto weapons you can find off ancient Viking warriors in their tombs. Not only a cool looking weapon, but damage with it can cause hypothermia, which will make it easier to knock pawns down without killing, to either strip them or imprison them, or just to do a quick finisher. I should also mention these tombs also have specialized power armor and guns, so you could have an ancient warrior with badass tech. I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention the legendary swords mod. These swords are extremely powerful and hard to make, requiring high crafting and creative inspiration. Yes, that's right, but it's worth it for swords that come with special abilities. Feel free to also cosplay as a certain copyrighted Square Enix character. I should also mention that some melee weapons from vanilla expanded weapons do give bonuses to certain tasks. Like the hammer helps with construction and the pick helps with mining. There are other useful melee weapons that give bonuses, but they are industrial, so you can't get a scalpel, which helps with surgery. Shame, because given you are going to be stuck with herbal medicine, you will need every edge you can get. Speaking of medicine, you definitely won't be having a big variety of healing supplies, which is why, for a thematic way to get more, try apothecary. Now, you can practice the art of herbalism and use what Mother Nature provides to create drugs and medicines to help you. Though I think I know why you are here. Combat, the backbone of every Rimworld playthrough. Well, that's simple enough. Follow our guide to standard wall defenses. If you have the Embrasures mod, use those to your advantage. But if you want something more fiery, set up some wooden or carpeted floors, have someone with a throwable torch provided by vanilla expanded Vikings, and then have them throw it onto the ground. The ground will ignite, creating quite the situation for invaders. Make sure your embrasures are in face stone, because I don't think I need to explain to you why fire and wood don't mix when it comes to defenses. By the way, did you know that this part of a castle was standing? There would be what was called murder holes, so defenders can drop rocks or scalding oil down on invaders. Granted, it was from above, but given this isn't Dwarf Fortress and we aren't playing with Z levels for the most part, yes, I know about that mod, you will have to make do with embrasure hallways. Set up traps too. Bear traps in vanilla security are remarkable. Rearmable, by the way. I guess they are remarkable and rearmable. So a good investment of steel or uranium if you have it. When it comes to animals, go with whatever makes you happy, but I recommend any canine animals with like wolves, dogs, and wolfhounds. From Vanilla Expanded, good for animals to help haul or act as battle companions. There's plenty of others, but those are my favorites. I definitely like having a canine companion at my side for sure. Now, for resource animals, muffalos are classic. Even if Tinin did remove their ability to give milk, but their wool is great. Boomalopes for living explosive defenses, and from Vikings, seriously, we are talking about this one a lot, am I right? The woolly cow, which gives a good wool and milk supply, definitely a favorite for me. I suppose chickens are low maintenance enough to keep around, but not needed. Anything else might be too giftful to keep well fed, but if you want to have a colony full of giant spiders, that's totally on you. That's on you. What about goals? If you can't make a spaceship, what can you do to finish the game? I mean, outside of being wiped out. Well, apart from kissing the Empire's butt and leaving that way, how about the Rimworld mod, where you achieve your victory by destroying your enemies? Then again, you could always summon an Eldritch God and end the game that way. That's one way. The Rim of Madness, Colts, and Cosmic Horrors could fit in this setting. After all, what better way to even the playing field than to have some Eldritch monster as a pet? Though do be careful. Those monsters can and will destroy you easily. Have fun! What about psychics? Because being tribal, you do have access to the anima tree, so they gotta take advantage of that. First, get the adjustable anima rod. This lets to adjust a few things about the anima tree, namely being able to build closer to it, because seriously, it can be so frustrating to have to appease it. Conquer nature, don't be nature's slaves. Anima gear is also fitting for psychics. As an alternative to the L-Tech clothing, with this mod, you can cultivate anima grass into fibers to turn it into clothing to help out psychics with their sensitivity and neural heat recovery. As far as psychic abilities you want, really anything can be useful if you know what you are doing. I do like psychic inspiration. After all, who wouldn't want creative pawns constantly making legendary furniture or weapons and armor? Now, last but not least is races and factions. factions because, hey, gotta have more people to trade, kill, or be indifferent to. First off, the Eldest faction, which uses the Anima Gear mod. So if you are going to use that, why not include a faction of people who are tribal wizards? This faction comes with new drugs that help you expand your mind, a new trait to be down with nature, and even a new way to get sidelings from them. So think of these guys as tribal nobles, except they aren't going to ask you to take care of their disease-ridden pets. Seriously, what's up with nobles doing that? Those jerks. If you want something more fantasy, the Morrowind set of mods has you covered. Like, holy fox, this is pretty big. But to summarize this one, it takes the races and factions in the Elder Scrolls Morrowind and puts them in Rimworld. Sounds like fun. Now you can enjoy the politics of the Dark Elf houses and embrace a horrible illness called Corpus. Yeah. Well, you know what? I'll let you figure this out. Next, the Rimhammer mod, set by SickBoyWee. I have to mention this because ever since that race mod video, I keep getting messages saying something about a book of grudges and how I will be put into it if I don't talk about it. What do these mods do? Well, it adds weaponry, magic, and items based on the Warhammer original Not 40k series of tabletop games, and most importantly, dwarves. Do I really need to explain why they would fit the aesthetic of a medieval playthrough? They wield big hammers, declare war on trees, strike the earth, and have beards so manly even their women wear beards. Sorry, what? That's Tolkien dwarves? Oh, I see. Speaking of Tolkien, the Lord of the Rims mod by Jexo, and now taken care of by Mir, are also good choices for medieval yet magical races to fit your games, from the long life and wise elves, the peaceful and fun-loving hobbits, the mighty ents and wise wizards. Oh, who am I kidding? You want to see the dwarves too. You know what I think? I might have to do my own dwarf playthrough. At some point, there is Z levels and Rim Fortress plants. I might as well. You know, I'm surprised there was so many mods to talk about in medieval playthroughs, and the many ways to help you survive. I wonder how sci-fi looks. You know what? Let's talk about that another time. Same with that. People, I want to thank you all for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, comment down below, give some good ideas, mock me for not mentioning this one obscure mod that we should totally include in a mod list we are definitely not doing in the future, wink wink. Remember to be safe, worship the fox, and of course, don't let Johnny Firebug in your wooden ale house. Now click another video, in this video, in that video, comment down below, hit the like button one more time. No, wait, 2 more times. Do it a non-number times, not even enough times. You understand, you know, make sure it's blue and glowing and stuff, and yeah, is that long enough? Are we at the end? I think we're at the end.